There is a specific physics to longing. It acts like gravity. The harder you lean forward, the more the object of your desire is pushed away. You are tired. I can feel the weight of it in your chest. It is not just the exhaustion of the body. It is a weariness of the soul. You have spent months, perhaps years, in the posture of the hunter, scanning for signs, analyzing silence, curating your words to avoid triggering a departure. You believe that if you just love enough, explain enough, or wait enough, the distance will close. But the distance does not close. It widens. This is the paradox of the anxious heart. You are trying to sprint toward someone who is walking backward, and deep down, beneath the panic, you know the truth. You cannot chase what is meant for you, because what is meant for you would not require you to lose your dignity to keep it. Today, we are going to dismantle the identity of the chaser. We are going to erase the need to pursue and replace it with the power to receive. We are turning you from a hunter into a beacon. There is a specific physics to longing that acts remarkably like gravity. The harder you lean forward, the more the object of your desire is pushed away by the sheer force of your momentum. You are likely tired, and I can feel the weight of that exhaustion in your chest. It is not just the physical exhaustion of the body, but a profound weariness of the soul. You have spent months, perhaps years, locked in the posture of the hunter. You are constantly scanning for signs, analyzing the silence, and curating your words to avoid triggering a departure. You believe that if you just love enough, explain enough, or wait enough, the distance between you will finally close. Yet, the distance does not close. It widens. This is the paradox of the anxious heart. You are trying to sprint toward someone who is walking backward. Deep down, beneath the panic, you know the truth. You cannot chase what is meant for you, because what is meant for you would not require you to lose your dignity to keep it. To stop the chase, we must first understand why you are running. We must dismantle the shame you feel around this behavior. This compulsion to fix and pursue is not a flaw in your character. It is not because you are weak, and it is certainly not because you are desperate. It is a biological imperative. When the unawakened counterpart pulls away, your nervous system registers this withdrawal as a legitimate threat to your survival. In our primal history, isolation meant death. To the ancient parts of your brain, being cast out of the tribe or separated from your attachment figure was a sentence of extinction. So, when the connection severs or goes silent, your amygdala, the ancient alarm bell of the brain, hijacks your logic. You enter a state of hyperarousal. You are not choosing to be annoying or clingy. You are biologically panicking. This is where the addiction takes hold. You overfunction. You overgive. You become the holder of space, but that space begins to feel like a vacuum that is slowly suffocating you. This is what Carl Jung might call the projection of the Savior. You unknowingly believe that they hold the key to your relief. You think that if they come back, you will be safe. You think that if they send that text, your heart rate will slow down. But this is the great illusion of the chase. You are not actually chasing a person. You are chasing the regulation of your own nervous system. You are addicted to the relief that comes when they validate you, and you are going through a chemical withdrawal when they do not. You have outsourced your peace to someone who cannot even carry their own. This dynamic creates a polarized energy field. Think of two magnets. If you are the positive side, pushing forward with anxious intensity, you force them into the negative polarity. You force them to retreat. Your anxiety feels like a demand. To the unawakened counterpart, your love does not feel like warmth. It feels like a debt they cannot pay. It feels like a spotlight that is too bright for eyes that are used to the dark. You must understand that the one you love is often dealing with their own shadow, which is the fear of engulfment. When you chase, you confirm their worst fear. You confirm that love is a cage, and that connection requires them to be consumed. So they run. They do not run because they do not love you. They run because you are sprinting at them with a net, and their soul's instinct is to fly. We must look closely at the role of the anxious heart. You have likely spent a lifetime being the one who fixes things. You are the one who notices the shifts in mood, the one who anticipates needs before they are spoken. This is a trauma response. It is a survival strategy you likely learned in childhood, where being useful meant being safe. You learned that love was something you had to earn, something you had to work for. So when this connection triggers that old wound, you immediately grab your tools. You try to work for the love. You try to earn the connection. But this connection is spiritual, not transactional. You cannot earn what is freely given, and you cannot force what is not ready to bloom. The chase is also a form of control. It is an attempt to manage the uncertainty of the unknown. The void of silence is terrifying to the anxious heart because in the void, you're forced to sit with yourself. You're forced to confront your own feelings of unworthiness without the distraction of trying to save someone else. Chasing gives you a task. It gives you a mission. As long as you are strategizing how to get them back, you do not have to feel the pain of where you are. But this is a distraction. The pain is not an enemy. It is a signal. It is telling you that you have abandoned yourself to pursue someone else. Recognize that your anxiety is actually ungrounded power. The intensity you feel, that burning desire to connect, is not bad energy. It is simply misdirected. You are taking a fire hose of divine love and spraying it at a wall that cannot absorb the water. The wall is not evil for being a wall, but you are exhausting yourself by trying to turn it into a sponge. The unawakened counterpart is currently unable to hold the frequency you are offering. When you pour more into them, they spill over. They distance themselves to dry off. You interpret this as rejection, but it is actually a boundary. They are protecting themselves from being flooded, and in doing so, they are inadvertently inviting you to stop pouring. The shift begins when you realize that the chaser identity is a mask. Beneath the panic, there is a calm, sovereign being who knows her worth. The part of you that chases is the wounded child who's afraid of being left alone in the dark. But you are not that child anymore. You are the adult who can turn on the light. You do not need to hunt for love because you are the source of it. The energy you are expending on them is your own vital life force. It is the fuel for your creativity, your abundance, and your joy. When you stop chasing, you stop leaking. You seal the vessel. You begin to accumulate power. And in that accumulation, the dynamic shifts. You stop being the hunter, and you prepare to become the beacon. How do we break a cycle that feels woven into the very fabric of your survival instincts? We must fundamentally alter your energetic signature. We must move you from the exhausting dynamics of the hunter to the sovereign power of the beacon. This is not a strategy of manipulation, nor is it a game of hard to get. It is a realignment with the laws of energetic physics. To understand this, we must look to the lighthouse. Consider its nature. A lighthouse does not run down the rocky beach, frantically looking for ships to save. It does not wade into the freezing, turbulent water to drag a boat to shore. It does not scream into the howling storm, begging the captain to look at it. It simply stands. It is rooted deep in the bedrock of the cliff. It tends to its own light. It revolves with a steady, predictable rhythm, regardless of the weather. Because it is stationary, it provides a reliable reference point. The ships find it, not because it chased them, but because it remained true to its position. For too long, you have been operating in kinetic energy. You have been movement, action, and pursuit. You have believed that if you stop moving, the connection dies. But the opposite is true. When you are in the energy of the chaser, you are vibrating at the frequency of lack. You are broadcasting a powerful, silent signal to the universe that says, "I do not have." The universe, in its literal and impartial obedience, responds to your vibration by giving you more of the experience of not having. You chase because you feel empty, and the act of chasing ensures you remain empty. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy of abandonment. By constantly reaching out, you are energetically crowding the other person. You are filling all the available space in the connection, leaving no room for them to step forward. You are doing their work for them. When you stop chasing, you are not giving up on the connection. You are changing the physics of it. You are moving from kinetic energy, which is energy in motion, to potential energy, which is power stored within. This is the reclamation of your dignity. Dignity is often misunderstood as pride, but they are different. Pride is a defense mechanism, a wall built to hide a wound. Dignity is a frequency. It is the quiet, unshakable knowing that you are the destination, not the vehicle. When you inhabit your dignity, you stop trying to convince someone of your value. You realize that value is not a debate, it is a fact. The sun does not beg the earth to rotate around it. It simply burns, and its gravity does the rest. This shift requires you to brave the void. When you stop the pursuit, you create a vacuum. In physics, we know that nature abhors a vacuum. It seeks to fill it. By removing your energetic pressure, you create the space for the unawakened counterpart to feel their own gravity. For the first time, perhaps in the history of your connection, they have to feel the absence of you rather than the pressure of you. When you are constantly present, constantly fixing, constantly available, they never have the opportunity to miss you. They never have the chance to wonder where you are because you are always right there, waiting. By stepping back, you hand the responsibility of the connection back to them. You allow them to feel the weight of their own choices. The unawakened counterpart is often running from their own inadequacy. They run because they feel they cannot meet your needs. When you stop needing them to validate you, the dynamic changes. You become a mirror that is no longer distorted by neediness. You become a calm surface. This can be terrifying for them at first because your silence is loud. It forces them to confront their own shadows without you there to buffer the pain. But this is necessary. You cannot save them from their own evolution. You cannot do their spiritual push-ups for them. By stepping back into the Lighthouse protocol, you are actually loving them more purely. You are respecting their path enough to let them walk it, even if they stumble. This paradigm shift turns you from a beggar into a host. The chaser asks for crumbs, hoping to be fed. The beacon radiates a feast. You begin to cultivate your own garden, your own joy, and your own life. You become so full of your own essence that you no longer need them to complete you. You only desire them to complement you. This is a subtle but massive difference. Need repels, desire attracts. When you center your own pleasure and your own standards, you become magnetic. You are no longer a variable that changes based on their mood. You are a constant. You are the shore. The transition to being a beacon requires immense trust. You must trust that what is yours cannot be lost. You must trust that if they drift away in the silence, they were never anchored to you in the first place. This is the hardest truth to accept, but it is the one that sets you free. If you have to chase it, it is running. If you have to convince it, it is not conviction. The Lighthouse Protocol is an act of surrender, not to the loss of the person, but to the truth of the moment. It is the ultimate declaration of self-love. You are deciding that you are worth more than a love you have to hunt for. You are deciding to keep your light on, not for them, but for yourself. And in doing so, you become the very thing you were seeking, a source of light in the darkness. Philosophy is useless without integration. We can discuss the physics of longing and the biology of attachment for hours, but those concepts tend to dissolve when your heart is racing at 3 a.m. The gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it is where the suffering lives. To close this gap, we must move from the intellectual to the somatic. We must move from understanding the map to actually walking the terrain. You do not need more theory right now. You need a protocol. You need to know exactly what to do with the panic when it rises in your throat. We are going to operationalize your healing through 3 specific internal shifts. These are not just mental exercises. They are structural changes to how your energy system functions. The first shift is the somatic pause. You must understand that the urge to reach out, to send that text, to check their social media, to drive past their house, is not a decision made by your rational mind. It is a somatic spike. It is a biological event. Your body is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol because your amygdala perceives the silence as a threat to your survival. When this happens, you feel a compulsion that is almost painful. It feels like if you do not act, you will explode. Most of the damage in the connection happens in this state. You send the long paragraph. You demand the answer. You act from a place of chaos. The somatic pause is the discipline of freezing. When the urge hits, you do not touch the phone. You do not speak. You physically stop. You place a hand on your heart or your belly. You acknowledge the biological reality of what is happening. You say to yourself, I am in a state of hyperarousal. I am not thinking clearly. I am just feeling safely. You must become the parent to your own nervous system. The anxious heart is actually a frightened child looking for a parent to soothe her. When you reach out to the unawakened counterpart in this state, you are asking them to parent you. You are asking them to regulate a storm they did not create. By pausing, breathing, and waiting for the chemical spike to subside, which usually takes about 20 minutes, you are reclaiming your power. You are teaching your body that you can survive the sensation of abandonment without actually being abandoned. You are building the muscle of self-regulation. If you act from anxiety, you create chaos. If you act from calm, you create order. You must wait for the calm. The second shift is retracting the energetic hook. This is a visualization, but it has tangible effects. Right now, you are likely leaking energy. Imagine that every time you obsess over them, every time you replay a memory, every time you worry about what they are doing, you are sending a unit of your life force away from you. You are sending it through an invisible cord that connects your solar plexus to theirs. You are feeding them your power, leaving you depleted, exhausted, and bankrupt. This is why you feel so tired. You are powering two souls with one battery. You must stop the leak. Close your eyes and visualize these cords of attachment. They are not cords of love. Love does not bind. They are cords of fear and control. Imagine grabbing these cords with your hands and gently, hand over hand, reeling them back in. You are not cutting the person off with anger. You are simply retrieving what belongs to you. Pull your energy back into your own body. Imagine that energy filling your own chest, your own stomach, your own legs. This energy is your currency. It belongs in your creative projects. It belongs in your career. It belongs in your health. It belongs in your bank account. As you pull it back, you become solvent again. You become full. When you are full, you are no longer grasping. You are no longer a vacuum trying to suck life from them. You become a sun radiating from your own core. This shift changes the magnetic polarity between you. When you stop feeding them your energy, they may suddenly feel the drop in power. They may finally feel the cold, and that cold is often what wakes them up. The third shift is the narrative flip. This is the cognitive restructuring of your dignity. The chaser operates from a narrative of victimhood. The underlying question of the chaser is always, why don't they choose me? This question assumes that they are the prize and you are the applicant. It places all the power in their hands. It assumes that their validation is the verdict on your worth. We must flip this script entirely. You must stop asking why they aren't choosing you and start asking why you are continuing to choose someone who cannot meet you. This is a subtle but profound pivot. It moves you from the position of the beggar to the position of the chooser. Look at the situation objectively. If you went to a restaurant and the kitchen was closed, you wouldn't stand at the table crying and begging for food. You would recognize that the restaurant simply cannot serve you right now. It is not a reflection of your hunger or your worthiness to eat. It is a reflection of their capacity to cook. The unawakened counterpart is currently a kitchen that is closed. They cannot serve the meal you require. The narrative flip invites you to look at your standards. It asks you to center your own pleasure and your own requirements for a relationship. When you do this, you stop trying to convince them to open. You simply decide that you will not starve while waiting. You decide to feed yourself. The moment you center your own dignity, you become magnetic. The chaser asks for crumbs because they believe they are starving. The beacon knows they are the source of the feast. If the unawakened counterpart cannot sit at your table, that is a tragedy for them, not a reflection of the food. When you integrate these 3 shifts, pausing the body, retrieving the energy, and flipping the narrative, you are no longer waiting. You are living, and a woman who is fully alive is the most powerful force in the universe. The erasure of the chaser is the birth of the mystic. You are realizing that you are the ocean and they are the vessel. The ocean does not concern itself with whether the boat sails or sinks. It simply is. It is deep, it is vast, and it is powerful. Let them go to find themselves. If they are truly your counterpart, your stillness will be the loudest thing they have ever heard. And if they are not, your stillness will clear the path for the one who can match your depth. Reclaim your energy. Stand in your light. Let the world come to you. If you are ready to master this internal alchemy, the path continues below.